Okay, so now I'm going to show you the garbanzo and yam chow chow. We're going to start out with a pot here, and this is something inspired by a dish that I learned at a place that I worked many years ago. It did not have garbanzos in it or yams. I just thought that the flavor combination would go really well, and you'll see the flavor profiles here in just a second. And I'll talk about how this whole dish works well together. So I have my pot here, and I'm going to start with some sliced red onions. Okay, and all I'm trying to do is just to sweat these out a little bit. I'm not trying to get necessarily any caramelization on it. So the flavor profiles is we're going to have these very earthy notes. I have some turmeric we're going to use. I have some mustard seeds and some dried oregano. So that's a very sort of earthy, umami sort of flavor profile. To that, we're going to add some apple cider vinegar. So that's sort of in the sweet area, but very sour because it is a vinegar. And then we're going to add the yams. So we have the sweet, sour, sort of earthy flavors going on with a little bit of onion for some depth of flavor. And then the garbanzos come in just sort of at the last moment just to take credit for the whole thing. So I'm going to sweat these out a little bit. Probably 2 minutes, or you really don't need that long. You don't really want any browning happening because the next step is to add the spices, and because they're very dry, if you already have a pretty dried pot, they can burn easily. So just give these a little bit. We're also going to use some cauliflower in here, which combined with the turmeric, it's sort of like this yellow cauliflower all mixed in there. So, okay. So at this point, I'm ready to add my mustard seeds. I might as well use them all. Turmeric, you don't want to overdo it with. A little bit goes a long way because it's very pungent and the color really pops. And then a little bit of dried oregano. Beautiful, just like that. And now I'm basically going to toast the spices a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add the yams to this. And as soon as I'm sort of toasted in here, we're talking like 20-ish seconds, we're going to go ahead and add the apple cider vinegar. This is the part that might confuse you a little bit, so let me give you clarification. We're going to use a lot of it. So this is basically the cooking liquid. You might think, oh my God, that's going to end up being so sour. There's so much vinegar in there. It won't be. So if you only use a little bit, because it's a apple cider vinegar, as you cook it, that sort of sourness sort of dissipates and it disappears, and you don't get enough of a flavor balance in there. And also, if you don't use enough, there isn't enough liquid in there to cook the yams. Okay, so now that I have this in here, I'm going to actually get a lid for this pot. I'm going to cover it, and you probably want to cook it for about 10, 12-ish minutes, just so that the yams are nice and soft, and then we'll come back to it and add the cauliflower to it. Okay, so now the yams have cooked for about 8 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and remove the lid. I see that most of that liquid has evaporated. I am going to check one of these yams and to see just how cooked they are. I want to make sure that when I bite into them, they're completely soft, which they are. Well, now at this point, I'm going to add my cauliflower. I might even go ahead and add just a little bit more of this. I need a little bit of liquid to make sure that the cauliflower steams up. And so I'm gonna put the lid back on, cook it for maybe just another 2 minutes or so, just so that the cauliflower gets soft, and then the whole dish comes together. So a couple more minutes. Okay, so our cauliflower has cooked for a couple minutes in there. I purposely make it so that the cauliflower florets are tiny so that they'll steam up in a couple of minutes. Okay, so now what I want to do is there's just a little bit of liquid left, and that should be right about what you're looking for. I just want to stir this up a little bit, just so that the cauliflower picks up that nice yellow color from the turmeric. So it's sort of like we're painting the cauliflower. All right. And now I take on one of these cauliflowers just to make sure that they are fully cooked. I know that the yams are already done. Perfect. So now the whole dish can come together in a couple different options for you. I have my garbanzos here, which are already cooked, and the finishing touch is the cilantro. You can serve this hot or cold. If you're gonna serve it hot, just mix it all in, serve it, you're good to go. If you're gonna serve it cold, I would allow the yams and cauliflower to cool down before you mix everything together, okay? And the main difference is gonna be in the cilantro. If you wanna serve it cold, you want the cilantro leaves to look like you just freshly picked them, mixed it all in, and now they're there. If you're gonna serve them hot, what's gonna happen is the cilantro is gonna wilt a little bit. And so it's sort of just the aesthetics of it. We're gonna serve this one hot, so we can go ahead and add the garbanzos and the cilantro. And now I'm just gonna mix it all together. Give it a nice stir all the way around. Now you see all this color sort of coming together. And again, we have all these flavor profiles complementing each other. We have the earthiness of the turmeric and the mustard and the oregano mixed with the sour of the vinegar and the sweetness of the yams. And so look at that. That is beautiful. Okay, so we have garbanzo and yam chow chow. You're gonna love this one.